hiding slides, and creating interactive buttons, including rehearsing. Sometimes there's a slide that you want the audience not to view. The simplest way to handle that is to hide that slide, instead of creating a whole new PowerPoint presentation without that slide. Suppose it's slide number 2 I want to hide. I can right-click on it and choose Hide Slide. You'll see the number 2 has a strike through it, indicating that this slide is hidden. When I go to Slideshow View, notice that I'm going to go from Join the Green Team to Recycling Breakdowns. I did not view slide number 2 when I was in Slideshow View. If I'm in Slide Sorter View, you can also see the number 2 is struck through as well. So whether I'm in Normal View or Slide Sorter, you'll note just by looking at the thumbnail and the number of the slide whether or not it's hidden. Any object in PowerPoint can be an interactive button. You can designate a drawn object, a chart, or a piece of clip art as an interactive button. Because at times you might want to jump from one slide to another because that slide relates to several other topics in your presentation, and you want to move quickly to those slides with that detailed information. Firstly, I'm going to unhide this slide so I have access to all slides. So I'll right-click and unhide the slide. Here I'm going to highlight a word. Suppose glass is going to become my interactive button. Once I've highlighted it, I go to Insert on my ribbon, and in the Links group, I choose Action. In Action Settings, I'll work with the action to hyperlink and scroll down here to another slide. And once I click on Slide, Hyperlink to Slide dialog box appears. I'm going to choose Recycling Breakdown. And when I click and choose OK, you can see that this action, when I click on it, is going to hyperlink to this slide. Glass is underlined. Now I must be in Slideshow View in order for me to test out my hyperlink. I'll click on Slideshow, and then when I click on Glass, it takes me to this slide. Maybe you'll say, well, why didn't I just advance to the next slide? Because it happens to be in this example, I'm just simply going from slide 2 to 3. But if I create additional slides, slide 2 still knows to talk, so to speak, to slide number 4, no matter where it's positioned in the slideshow itself. So back to slide 2, and you can see how Recycling Breakdown is now slide number 4. Slideshow View, I click on the hyperlink, and it takes me directly to that slide. It doesn't matter what position that slide is at, the hyperlink will directly go to that slide. If I want to edit the hyperlink, I right-click and choose Edit, and then I can determine if I actually want to go to another slide for this hyperlink, or I can go to an existing file or web page, or I can even create a whole new file when I click on that hyperlink. We touched a little bit on timings in one of the other sessions or modules, but I'd like to revisit it here. We can rehearse our timings when we're in Slideshow View. I'll show you how you can do that. On the Slideshow tab of the ribbon, we'll see Rehearse Timings in the Setup group. When I click, it takes me actually to Slideshow View, and it starts recording how long I'm actually paused at this slide. Once I advance to the next slide, you'll see how this timer changes back to 0 and it starts counting how long I'm on this slide. And then this timer is telling me the total amount of time for the entire slideshow presentation. I can keep clicking to the next slide, and it will tell me how long I am in this slide. If I want to start again the timer on this slide, I use this arrow to repeat, and I can resume recording, but it starts the timer back to 0. I can pause if I need to, and when I'm ready to get going again, I resume my recording. And in this case, it doesn't start the timer again, it just pauses so that I can do whatever I need to do and then resume, and it continues counting. When I close the recording, Microsoft PowerPoint is telling me, do I want to keep the new slide timing? And before that, it shows me how long, how much time the slideshow is. Let's say I say yes. I'm directed to Slide Sorter View. You can see below the slides that I timed the amount of time listed at the bottom left. It's important before you present to do a rehearsal, so you can know how long you need for each slide, or better yet, the opposite. You know perhaps maybe you've got 5 minutes tops for that entire PowerPoint presentation, and you want to make sure you have enough time for every slide to say what you need to say. So it's a good tip to rehearse your slideshow presentation before you present.